Okay, here we go. We're gonna talk reality for a bit, I guess. So, um, reality, if it were made of cubes, kind of, if everything we moved through were just a big set of cubes, then I guess we would call that voxels. Pixels are uh, all the squares on um, electronic screen. Voxels are cube pixels, essentially. I mean, if you've played Minecraft, you certainly know what a voxel is. So, um, let's draw out an environment made of voxels. And then let's think about what it means to be in an environment made of voxels. And we'll start to talk about why reality is not made of voxels, although it may appear such. So hopefully you've gotten the idea from this sketch. You've got this whole set of cubes that make up reality, and I mean, it's basically like reality was just all made of Legos, like in the Lego movie. So let's say that you're here in this cube up here, and your mass, all the space that you take up, takes up space in that cube. Now let's say there's smoke in this cube. That means that if you go forward into this cube, then your mass is going to displace that smoke. And that smoke is going to go into this cube, this cube, this cube, this cube. Basically, all your surrounding cubes are going to get some smoke, including the cube you just left is actually going to get the majority of the smoke, because since you left that space, air kind of is sucking in, which means that this could just sweep around you, the smoke could just sweep around you into here. Sorry if it's a bit tiny, but it's my first time kind of explaining something like this. So, since that smoke can go in all of those different directions from the cube it's in, the idea is that from one voxel that you occupy in reality, that voxel is not just a slice of space. When you leave that voxel, go through this face, for instance, you'll enter another voxel. And in that sense, each face will be a portal to another voxel. And that's where we start getting the idea of the 3D cube in space construct. And that one actually is drawn with a square as the base. So let me see if I can cook that up for you real fast. So if you see a cube head on and it's open over here, or if it's transparent, you would see it like this. And then, let's see, if we see it like this with a bit more one-point perspective happening from above, so not directly on the horizon line, but the horizon line's over here. Yay! Art classes help. Then here's that cube. I draw really small, don't I? Here. I'm such a small sketcher. Not all the time, but I just looked at that and I was like, you know, I could just make this bigger for y'all. So you've got the cube here, and then let's say that we'll indicate the next cube here, and the next cube here, next cube, next cube, by just drawing their face. Let's even just think of that as like a portal to the next cube. So, and then there will of course be one in front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, always 6 to handle. And then from there we could even just sketch out the cubes to see it. But when you start moving in 5 dimensions, or rather once you move in 4 dimensions, you have to consider this next space that you are moving into. You have to consider that space as receiving whatever it is that you sent from this reality. So, watching it move is very interesting because really what you do is you see this face go here and become here. This face goes here and becomes here. This face goes on to here. This face goes over here. This face goes over here. And then, of course, this face that was here moves across to over here. And that's one way that space kind of... They'll say that space folds because what you find is that if you're only considering this one cube here, there's nothing else for it to move in and out of. You can't see all the other space around it that it's interacting with if you're only considering this one bit of space. So, how you see it whenever you're only homing in on this one bit of space is that everything just kind of moves in this weird loop to be able to get back into it, because everything's constantly getting back into this space. If something leaves it, something else comes back in. It's just a constant loop, constant reality warp. The word for this in science fiction, and I think actually in science before it was science fiction, is a tesseract. Yes, the cosmic cube. Cube space is very interesting to sketch out and handle because it's actually very easy to get a cube, as you may have noticed from all of the sketching that I'm doing. I spent a lot of time as a kid sketching ice cubes, actually. Like it's a very useful shape. You can imagine how it links together very easily. And so you start to see this as the building blocks of reality, just constantly chaining with each other. And when you think about each voxel, each cube slice of reality as a portal, a 6-way portal to every voxel around it, you start to understand how it all interrelates together. Of course, the real interesting part is whenever we consider, what if this face here actually did go to this face over here, just completely bypassing these two spaces? Like, essentially go out here, end up, come in here. These two are just completely bypassed because this simply connects to this. This is where you're starting to have the idea of either portals or a fold in space. The way that space folds is simply that this space here connects to this space here, and this space here is just never in the way because it's not really part of the equation. It's less about taking all of space everywhere and folding it, and more, this is where this space stops and this space starts again. And that's where you start to see just how much reality might not be shaped like we expect if you consider all these different voxels in here to be possibly leading to different places. You know, this goes here and comes out here. This goes here and comes out here. Um, how do we map reality if it's like that? Because whatever we see right now is a 3D projection of four-dimensional shapes that are in front of us. How do we start to see in 4D? What if it's like this? What if it's just something we can't handle yet because we can't quite think in that direction? These are the questions that I think about, and I hope that geometry starts to answer them.